What is going on, everybody? Hope you're all doing well. So, I'm kind of going off topic today, but why is it so important for the Yankees to hit big on the international market? Well, for those that haven't heard, recently they fired their international scouting director, right? And shout out to the chat, Jonathan Hayden. And this is an area, I mean, whether it's the amateur draft or international signings or free agency or the trade market, this is how MLB is expanding its global footprint, right? And Ray, Susan, hello, everybody. How are you? And I won't keep you guys very long. Stephen B. I want to just get a little bit of perspective on this and get your ideas on this and your takes on this. Consigliere, there he is. So, and let's go over this stuff. I mean, some of the things that we do know? Obviously, we're still waiting on qualifying offer decisions. That's going to help shape the decisions in free agency. The tender, non-tender, it's also going to help shape the decisions in free agency and trades, right? But on the back end of it, the Yankees, Miguel, what's happening? The Yankees pick on the back end of the draft every year, right? And that is the punishment, so to speak, of them being good every year and competitive every year. They pick on the back end of the draft every round. So 20 rounds, they pick on the bottom of it, right? And the worse they are, the higher they go up in the draft. But it's also they're being penalized from being one of the top spenders in baseball too, because they wind up dropping 10 spots in the draft too. So that's one of the things. But recently the Yankees have kind of whiffed on international signings, right? Which is one reason they fired, the international scouting director. Okay. Roland, I think his name was. Now, just to put this in perspective, I'm gonna go over a list of here. These are some of their more recent prominent draft picks, international signings, and how much they spent. Rainford Salinas, $1.85 million in 2017. Okay, he's only played 65 games above rookie ball, and he's been out of baseball since 2024. And you got Antonio Cabello, $1.35 million, also in 2017. 44 games above rookie ball. He's been out of baseball since 2023. Okay. Alex Vargas, a shortstop, $2.5 million in 2018. Okay. Career WRC plus of 80. He was released in August. Okay. Then you have outfielder Kevin Alcantara, $1 million in 2018. He was traded for Anthony Rizzo. Right. Now he's the top 100, right around a fringe top 100 prospect. It was 7 years ago he signed international. 7 years, right? And Constantly, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate you. You're always so generous, man. Appreciate you. And overall, thank you to all of you too. I appreciate all of you. This is why I do this, because I love you guys. And this is why I think this is one of the better channels out there, because we talk about stuff like this, right? Let me get back to and thank you again, Constantly. The Tom Hagen of Texas, right there. Made guy. Got his button. Jason Dominguez. He's probably the most highly touted international prospect the Yankees have signed ever. Okay. 2019. We are 6 years going into the 7th year. Okay. From Jason Dominguez. Decent, right? Hans Montero, $1.6 million in 2021. Career 98 WRC plus. That's it. Roderick Arias, another whiff. Okay, $4 million again. They gave Jason Dominguez $5.1 million. Okay, Hans Montero 1.6. Roderick Arias was the top draft international signing. He got $4 million in 2022. 89 WRC plus. He's also going again in low A. He hasn't even gotten above low A yet. It's been 4 years. Okay, going on 4 years. Okay, and then Brandon Maella, $4.35 million. He was their top pick in 2023. He's still in rookie ball. Okay. And he can't stay healthy. So these are a lot of the examples where the Yankees have whiffed. internationally, right? This is why it's so important, that they shake things up, and they are shaking things up in the international scouting department. And hopefully they bring in people who do better with the international scouting, international signings because of the fact they pick so low in the draft, right? And they've been doing much better in the draft. I mean, they're picking guys, and again, look at some of the players we have. Austin Wells, draft, right? Ben Rice, draft. Aaron Judge, draft. Volpe, draft. Like, so many players that we got in the draft. So, and it shows that, we have a pretty robust pipeline. They have a bunch of guys we have right now. And there's also a reason why our team is the most rated team in the Rule 5 draft every year, right? Our team is strong. Our farm is stronger than people think. Okay. We don't get the Jackson Holidays. We don't get the Jackson Merrills, right? The Adley Rushmans. We don't get the number 1 draft picks. The last time we picked number 1 in the draft was like 35 years ago. 35. And Derek Jeter was, I think, 1991 or 1992. He was the last single-digit draft pick we had. He was picked at 6. Okay? So this is why we need to hit big on the international market to, kind of balance out the fact that we pick so low in the draft every round. So let's just say we picked last in the first round. We picked last every round, right? And that's just the way that it is. So I tell you, it's that whole Paul Skeens thing was clickbait, everybody. And so many of the YouTube channels ran with it. Nobody fact checked it. And Paul Skeens refuted it later on in the day. My man, NFE from the Strikes. And what's going on, brother? Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. This 1991 was the last time they picked number 1. It was Brian Taylor, generational left-handed pitcher, who lasted, 2 years. He got into a bar fight defending his brother, and then he tore his labrum and tore his whole shoulder. It was never the same after that. But he was a top pitching prospect in a generation. He was like the next Randy Johnson. And I'm just talking about why we need to hit big on the international market. Because we picked so low in the draft, and I went over a bunch of situations where we've kind of whiffed in free agency. Whiffed in the international draft, right? So many players that we draft internationally. We have a certain amount of money allocated every year to international prospects. But the problem is when you pick with number 1, right? They're going to get the lion's share of that international money. Like we are already linked to Juan Diasagen, who's the number 1 international draft pick from Dominican Republic. He's a 16-year-old shortstop. We are projected to sign him. But if you look in the top 5, there's 2 catchers in the top 5. I'm hoping the Yankees pick one of them guys. And I'm hoping the Yankees draft 1 or 2 catchers, because we traded away like 8 or 10 catchers in the last couple of years. So we've kind of gutted the catching component of our pipeline. So whether it's international, whether it's draft, we need to add some catching back here, right? And yeah, Adley Rushman is probably one of the few switch hitting catchers. This is true. But I would not trade Jason Dominguez for Adley Rushman. If I'm going to trade Dominguez, I'm going to trade him for pitching, not a catcher, because he doesn't play better than Austin Wells. So that to me is not an upgrade there. What are we going to do with Austin Wells? Right? We have a back of the end draft first round pick who's playing better than a number 1 draft pick, Adley Rushman. So this goes to show that Austin Wells is not as bad as people think, right? But yeah, this is where, again, it's important internationally, and this is why they fired the guy Roland. They're going to be shaking things up, just like they're going to be shaking, other areas too. And you never know, they might get real. I am hearing that they are shopping JC Escara, so they might move Escara this offseason. And if they do that, then I do expect Rice to become the full-time first baseman. Now I don't know what they're going to do with TJ Rumfield, one of our top prospects, because he is a naturalized first baseman too. So who would we have backing up catcher and first base? I don't know. Right? They're also looking to bring back Ahmed Rosario and Ryan Yarborough. So, and for those that haven't heard, they reached out to the Cardinals yesterday for Brendan Donovan. They are in, I don't know what stage of discussions they are, but they reached out to the Cardinals actively. Brendan Donovan. Miguel, thank you so much for the super chat too. I always appreciate you folks. Cash is going to sign bottom barrel players, but I have a feeling we're going to be happy. They say that every year, Miguel, right? They say we're going to dumpster dive every year. Most of the fair weather fan channels, really. And these are the channels that spend most of the time trashing Cashman, trashing Boone, and trashing Yankees, right? So I don't really pay any mind. I really don't pay any mind. You know, and Cashman said it the other day. I don't know why people are expecting Cashman to give them, clickbait material to run with. He's not going to do that. He knows people run with, and they turn it into crap. So on social media. So he's not going to get people material to run with. My man, Max Coverage is in the building. We got the horseman up in here. Max is here, and if he's in here, the consigliere. What is good, right? And what do you folks? Next week we have to make the decision. Well, the QO players have to make the decision. We have to decide who we're going to put on the 40-man roster to protect them from Rule 5. So who do you think, folks? And again, do you agree with me what I said here? Why the Yankees need to hit big on the international market? Obviously, they're shaking things up there, but one of the reasons why, you let me know, Max, if you agree too, and if you agree, one of the reasons we got to hit big on it international, we got to do better internationally, is because we pick so low in the draft every round, right? Oh my God, me too, Max. I can't wait for the winter meeting. I'll be live every day during the winter meetings too. We're gonna hopefully get some good stuff coming in, but right now they're setting up they're laying the groundwork for the winter meetings, in the GM meetings and the owner meetings and all that stuff, which is next. But next week we're gonna have a better idea of what rosters are gonna look like, not only Yankees but other teams, to see who gets tendered and non-tendered. Because if people get non-tendered, then it creates more options in free agency, right? And we could be thinking that some guy might be available that wasn't available before, right? So it could change the calculus of a team. We don't know. So that's why we have to wait for these things. And this is one of the reasons why Cashman said, they have to wait until the market presents itself, right? The market hasn't bared itself yet. But that doesn't mean the Yankees aren't quietly making dialogue. And I'm glad they reached out to the Cardinals about Donovan yesterday. Yeah, planting the seeds is right, man. Glaber, I heard this morning that Michael King and Zach Gallen are going to reject the QL. Glaber, I can see taking it. I don't know who else. In all honesty. Yeah, Kyle Hendricks retired too. Yeah, nice little career. Cubs, yeah. Nice little career. Glaber, I can see, because he's also coming off shoulder surgery. So, I think he wants to reestablish his value there. And he has some pretty good value there. So, exactly, the fair weather fans can give up on 2026. They're going to drop the payrolls by a gazillion dollars. They're going to sign nobody. Everybody's going to go to the Mets and the Dodgers. Yeah. It just makes sense for Gleyber Torres, and it's $22 million. We're already hearing that Trent Grisham is going to decline qualifying offer, but that's what we're hearing. I mean, I got to actually see it. So I don't expect the Yankees to sign. I don't think the Yankees are going to sign anybody who's going to be a number 4 pitcher that's attached to a QO. Anybody that's attached to a QO is going to be number 1 or number 2. If the Yankees are going to sign him, doesn't make any sense. And the only qualifying offer player I could see the Yankees signing from that list would be Kyle Tucker, if they decide to not go for Cody Bellinger, right? But again, Cody Bellinger would make it easier to add Tatsuya Imai, okay? And we got some more intel on that. He's open to he's expressed now that he's open to the East Coast. So, and he's also looking, if you haven't heard, somebody from Japan, the MPB reported that he is looking to join a team that does not have a Japanese star already. So if that's true, then you can roll out the Dodgers. And probably the Mets, because they've got Kodai Senga, and probably the Orioles, because they got Sugano. We don't have anybody, right? So, and again, Trent Grisham declining the qualifying offer then creates more opportunities and openings for the Yankees. And who they non-tender in the next couple of days is also going to create opportunities for the Yankees. We'll have a better idea of what they need to, who they plan on adding to the roster, right? And pitching wise, yeah, I mean, I feel better about Imai than I do anybody else. But I'm not gonna hold my breath or get my hopes up either. Because we heard a couple years ago that we were the favorites for Yamamoto, and then all of a sudden, people were like, "Well, Cashman didn't do enough to outbid," even though they're completely blind to the fact that these are blind bids. You put in your bid, you don't know what the other team offered, right? That's the way it is in free agency. That's how agents play teams off each other, right? Then I can say, "Well, this team gave you 275. What do you got?" They never say that ever. Agents don't do that. Agents need teams to keep upping their bids, right? They're always going to be blind. So, yep, Tuesday, Rule 5 and qualifying offer deadline, Tuesday, right around the corner. So, I have a good feeling about it. And he'll be, he would reestablish our opening. He would reopen the connection with Japan for the Yankees. And I would love Okamoto and MI, but I think the only way that can happen is if they sign Bellinger and not Tucker, financially speaking. But it looks like they're also preparing for if the Okamoto doesn't happen. That's why they're reaching out to Brendan Donovan and so on. So I get it as well. Right now, who's Diaz? Who's Diaz, Arclight? Who? You mean Edwin Diaz? Yeah, I wonder where Okamoto wants to play too. We don't know. Edwin Diaz. I mean, we have David Bednar, and I don't think the Yankees are going to pay Edwin Diaz like $20-something million a year. I'm not moving Bednar out of the closer spot to listen to them freaking trumpets 30 times a year. I'm not, but I don't work for the Yankees. They don't pay me. He's good, but I would rather them take a different direction in the bullpen. Right? So, I mean, you could trade Jason Dominguez, and I know I'm pissing so many people off this week. You could trade Jason Dominguez for a very good reliever. Okay? They do have a chance to sign Okamoto. Okamoto and MI are more realistic than with Bellinger than they are Tucker. And keep in mind, Okamoto, MI, and Bellinger have one thing in common. They're all represented by Scott Boras. So I would be on speed dial with Boras all weekend. And again, keep in mind too, yes, he's the best agent in the game for a reason. Yes, he demands a premium for his players. I get it. So they're going to pay. But none of those guys come with qualifying offers. None of those guys have draft picks required and all that stuff. The Mets need to bring back Diaz, just like the Mariners needed to bring back Munoz. I think they'll re-sign Diaz, but I think there's a good chance they're going to lose Alonso. So, yep. Here's a Boris climax. That's always a worry too. That's always a worry too. But that's why I'm hoping that Amaya wants to go to a team without a Japanese star. Because what are going to use the Yankees to run at the price for? Oh, I've always wanted to play in Cincinnati. Like, I don't. You know what I mean? He said he wants to go to a contender. So, and I can't see that. I've always wanted to play for the Rockies, the Orioles. Like, I'd be surprised, but I'd be impressed if someone actually said that. Comes in with a, man, it's been a dream of mine to play for Cleveland. Love it. I can't see it, right? So, yes, he does, Alonso. That's why I'd love to see him go to the Phillies and stick it to the Mets, right? I didn't think the Yankees will go. This is why I think, and again, keep in mind too, I think the Japanese players are going to be resolved before Bellinger, right? Because Bellinger, he likes to run out free agency with his domestic players, with his major league players. The Japanese players are different. Doesn't matter who they're represented by. Once the posting window's open, they have 45 days. That's it. He cannot drag it out. So he can't drag it out of my, right? His window opens Wednesday, the 19th. Okay. Murakami's is already open. Okamoto hasn't opened yet, but they have 45 days to get everything done. So Boras has very little influence on the posting timeline, the window. He has none. He can't do anything about that. So, which is why I think the Japanese players' situations will be resolved before Bellinger. If they somehow get Imai and Okamoto, then beyond that, at that point, I don't really care whether it's Bellinger or Tucker. I just want Spencer Jones in center field. Tucker, Bellinger, all of them, and Stephen Kwan, they all profile better as a corner outfielder. None of them are elite in center field. They're good. They're better in their corner outfield spots. Jones is elite in center field. This is one of the things he's known for. So, yeah. Bellinger could wait for Tucker to sign. We don't know. Tucker could be the big domino to sign at the winter meeting, just like last year Juan Soto was. So, I don't know. But Tucker's not represented by Scott Boras. So, right? Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. I don't think, that's what I'm saying. I don't think Amai's going to be like, man, I've been dying to go to Detroit. I can't see it. Right? Quan, if you do Belly, I don't know if still, Max, I like it where your head's at. I don't think they'll do Belly and Quan. Because that means Dominguez and Spencer Jones are gone. I think one of them is gone, honestly. Dominguez or Jones. Though the Blue Jays need a closer. I wouldn't be surprised if they signed Framber Valdez too. Because I think they're probably going to lose Chris Bassett. So they'll probably replace him with somebody like Framber Valdez. Yeah, Quan, exactly. Just like I'm not buying too much into this Byron Buxton thing either. Like, I'm not trading Spencer Jones for Byron Buxton. Why would I do that? Right? Yeah, we don't know when Okamoto's going to get posted. He might get posted after Murakami's window closes. So, but he is going to be posted, Okamoto. We know that. He might be just the last Japanese domino of a big name to fall, right? That's why this offseason is really going to be stretched out to a degree. And this is why, cash room works the entire offseason. Where you see, like, last year we had a bunch of moves made in a week. I can't see that happen this offseason. Because it's just a different market. And we'll find out next week, too, how much money they have cleared up, right, for non-tenders. No, the Yankees are doing their due diligence for looking at Bassett, but I don't think they're going to, they're going to do due diligence on everybody, just like they're looking at Nick Martinez from the Reds and other guys, too. So, but they've made it clear as their primary pitching target right now. They're not going to take Michael King over Imai. If they don't get Imai, then I can see them going after someone else, like a Bassett, something like that. But Imai is their primary Japanese pitching target right now. And Okamoto would be awesome too. Well, I can't see Okamoto and Donovan, but if Okamoto doesn't happen, I can't see Donovan. If Donovan doesn't happen, I can see Okamoto. But I think a lot of that hinges upon whether the Yankees decide at one point, like they may say, yeah, okay, we got these Japanese players, so we can't do anything beyond Bellinger in terms of left field. Okay, fine. So the Yankees, they always look at everyone every year. They're thorough as all get out. And this is free agency, but this is why the Yankees need to hit big on the international market. They need to bring in some different people, right? It's like and for those that haven't heard, James Rosen, he's the hitting coach. He interviewed with the Twins, didn't get the managerial job. He's now interviewing for the bench coach job there. So there's still a chance that he can leave the Yankees and be replaced because they'll need a new hitting coach. So, and I don't know that Don Mattingly has expressed interest in coaching again, but I would do everything. He announced Aaron Judge last night for the MVP, which was kind of awesome. He had the grin on his face, which is kind of cool. And I saw some kids yesterday did a meet and greet with some kids fans, and they asked him, "Would you come back to the Yankees?" They really want him to come back, and he said, "Well, when one door closes, the other one's open." Like he didn't rule it out. He was much more receptive to that question yesterday, and I don't know if it's because it was kids, but he just sounded more receptive. And again, like this also tells me that him announcing Aaron Judge, maybe he has a real shot at getting into the Hall of Fame next month. So it's starting to get him some more exposure now. Which would be, I mean, if I would love for him to get into the Hall of Fame, but him and Aaron Judge are like the two greatest Yankees to not win a World Series. I would love for these guys to be here and win it together. I don't care what capacity is. If he's an advisor, he's free. I don't know. Whatever. Right? What do you know, Ken? What do you know, man? So we're talking about the international market. I think we talked about, a lot of areas where they just struck out internationally. They haven't really done, like, Jason Dominguez is the most prominent international player that they've signed since, like, freaking Mariano Rivera. And he's, a fringe player, Jason Dominguez. Right? That's just a fact. People don't like me saying it, but it's a fact. So, and we're going on 7 years with Dominguez. He got drafted in 2018. Yeah, me too, Jonathan. I want Mattingly part of Yankees too. I don't care if he's a spring training advisor, an advisor to Brian Cashman. Get him here, please. Bring him back to the Yankee family. The Yankee family needs Don Mattingly here. It felt so awesome yesterday when Mattingly announced that. Minaya is an advisor too for the Yankees, so I think he's going to have more say, Susan. That's a good question. I think he's going to have more say in terms of who they bring in to kind of be an international scouting director, because he does have connections internationally. So hopefully they bring in the right people. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, his assistant GM right now is Mike Fishman, who's the head of analytics. I'd rather have Don Mattingly as assistant GM. But I don't know if Mattingly still wants to coach. I wonder what capacity he wants to remain with baseball. I don't know. So, well, the international scouting director, that's for mostly the South American, Central American players. They have a Japanese guy. I forgot his name. Swimi Minami or something like that. He's the guy that deals with the far west, right? The far east, Korea, Japan, and stuff. Asia. We have folks with Manai side who deal with Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico and Venezuela and Panama and those folks. So, yeah, he was signed internationally. He was signed internationally in 2019. So we're going on his 7th year. 7th year. Dev, what's going on, Dev? Yeah. Swimi Minami is a minority owner. Yeah, and he's supposed to be the guy to help bring us back, reestablish those reopen that connection with Japan. And again, some of these guys that the Yankees are looking at, Hideki Matsui needs to play a role here because he played, for one of the, I think was it Okamoto or my teams? I think Okamoto. I think he played on the same team that Okamoto plays for. So we need to get him on, trying to get these guys tied in here with the Yankees too, right? Well, that's what I'm saying, Ken. Like, it's been 7 years. It took him 5 years to get to the majors, right? So, I think he's better off getting a starting opportunity elsewhere right now. And but he still has the ability to extract good value back for the Yankees. But I don't see him getting an opportunity to be a starter, which is a shame. But the fact of the matter is, Spencer Jones has a higher ceiling and he's better defensively. So, Jake Boss, if we got Amaya and Okamoto, it would be awesome. But I do think that unless Hal shocks all of us and says, you know what, we're going to go with Kyle Tucker and so on and so forth. But again, you got to outbid the other teams with Kyle Tucker too. Don't think the Dodgers are going to lay down Kyle Tucker. No. So it really depends on what they do. Ray, always a pleasure, my man. And I won't keep you on much long. I got to get back to work soon. But this is like an area, you got the pillars, right? You got the draft. You got free agency. You got international signings. You have, what do you call it? And trades. So those are the 4 pillars, right? Buckeye, there he is. How you doing, my man? the four pillars where the Yankees are kind of expanding their global footprint, or MLB is expanding their global footprint. But the Yankees need to do, they need to step up the game on the international side because of these guys. And I've named them, and if you like, I named 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these guys, and these are more highly touted international players. Only one of them, Jason Dominguez, has made it to the majors. None of these other folks have gotten above rookie ball, which is a shame. So, your take. And again, this is why they need to do better, because they draft at the bottom of every round and every year in the amateur draft, the college draft. So, and that's, again, it's just the drawback for being a competitive team. And then dropping 10 spots. But they only dropped 10 spots in the first round for their first pick because of the spending that they're at, which is why I think that needs to be addressed in the next CBA. These teams that spend on their product should not be penalized in 5 different ways. That's not fair. It really isn't fair. Banana Ball League compete. Well, they just signed Jackie Bradley Jr. He was the first former Major League player to sign a full-year contract with the Banana Ball League. They've gotten former Major Leaguers there, like just, coming in here and there. But Jackie Bradley Jr. is the first guy to sign a full-year contract with the Banana Ball League. So I don't know how much juice the Banana Ball League is going to get, but yeah. Yeah, January 15th. Yep. The new international signing period. It's going to go quickly, too. You'll find out pretty quick. That's a couple weeks after the winter meetings. So, yep. Yes, indeed. But I appreciate the feedback, guys. This is good feedback. This is really good feedback. But this is where we stand right now. So just make sure your notifications are turned on. I'll get you all the information as it comes in. We're still waiting to hear what the Yankees' next move is going to be. They may make a small move or two until we find out the QOs next Tuesday and the non-tender decisions and the Rule 5 decisions. So that'll give us a better idea of what their 40-man roster is going to look like and how many spots they need to fill, because it has to be at 40 when the season starts. It has to be at full capacity when the season starts. So, yep. So keep in mind, get ready, folks. Okay, Yankees in the yeah, be kind of cool. Yeah, top 10 prospects, and again, like some of their recent draft picks, like Dax Kilby, he's in the top 10 now. He was their first round pick last year. No. Yeah, Roderick Arias. I don't know if you heard it. He was one of the guys. He was there. I mentioned him as they gave him $4 million in 2022, and then Brandon Maella, they gave him $4.3 million in 2023. He's still in rookie ball. He can't stay healthy either. And then Roderick Arias, he's gonna go back and play low A again. Like, that's not what we're looking for international players. We need guys that are gonna be progressing a little bit further. So winter ball hasn't started yet, Buckeye, but we're gonna keep tabs on him as well, the Martian. He is gonna play winter ball. So we know that, and we know that Spencer Jones is working in the Bronx. He's been training in Yankee Stadium as well. So, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yep. So they spent a lot of guys. I mean, a lot of money on these players, millions upon millions, and that's why they fired the international scouting director, because all but one guys we've hit on, and we didn't even hit that. Dominguez is not it's not a home run. They hit on him, but it's not a home run. So hopefully we get something good out of him, right? And again, but the other problem is these guys aren't even playing well enough to become trade pieces. That's a problem, right? But that's also a problem with the Yankees player development. The Yankees need to do better developing these players. But they have to do better scouting them. They have to find more appropriate fits for the Yankees system. Yes, definitely. Can appreciate it. Like, share, and subscribe. Please do that to Ken the Yankees Ugly Truth. Please do that to Max Coverage. Please do the same for NFE and the Strike Zone as well. Definitely want to support the family here. But yeah, congratulations to Aaron Judge. Yep. I put out a short this morning about this. I said that I think the vote was right between Judge and Cal Raleigh. I understand there's some fans that felt burned by it and so on. I get it. Cal Raleigh had a historic season. There's no doubt about it. He set a new standard for catchers with 60 home runs. Right. But if you're leading the argument with, well, it's never been done before. Okay. But is that as powerful as, well, look at the stats here. And Aaron Judge leads in 80% of them by a mile. Okay. Look at his WAR higher. That's a metric directly related to his impact on the game. Look at his his been based on balls, intentional walks. He's got like 5 times as many as Cal Raleigh. That's a sign that pitchers find him more valuable, right? They don't want to pitch to him. So a lot of these indirect metrics, then he led in batting average by like 90 points. Like Cal Raleigh led in home runs by, I think, 5, right, or 6. He led in RBIs by like 5. Aaron Judge led by like 100 points by a lot of these things. 200 points. That to me is a sign of an MVP. If there was the most historic season, I would give it to Cal Raleigh. But most valuable, got to go to Aaron Judge. And I'm not surprised that they won, that it was so close. What I am surprised is that Shohei Ohtani won unanimously. I can't believe that Kyle Schwarber did not get any first place votes in MVP. That I can't believe. I think Kyle Schwarber got hosed. No. But that's just me. What the hell am I know? Right. And Judge, and keep in mind too, look, this year Cal Raleigh had a historic season. Then Bobby Witt Jr. had a historic season when he was runner-up. Shohei Ohtani had a historic season too when he was runner-up. All 3 of those times, they lost to Aaron Judge, who was better than guys that had historic seasons. And I think he was robbed by baseball too, by losing the Jose Altuve. He should have his 4th like Ohtani. But we are watching a historic period in baseball. Very special time, so enjoy it. Really, really enjoy it. But let me let y'all go. I'm going to get back to work. Appreciate you spending some time. I appreciate the generosity and super chats too. I greatly appreciate you. You are the best. Keep your notifications turned on. I get more news. You're going to get it. Have a great day. Peace and love. See you next time.